Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Astrology with Jeffrey Bryan. Today's episode is on the Buck full moon occurring on July 13th, 2022. And it's called a Buck full moon because it's when the deer begin to grow antlers. And this is the season when that begins. And then it's also called a thunder moon, is another term often used because it's the time when thunder and lightning storms begin. This full moon has a lot of aspects to it, so let's dive right in. So the Buck full moon occurring on July 13th. So as we can see here, the full moon again is an opposition between the sun and the moon. And the moon is in 21 degrees Capricorn in the keyword of idealism, conjunct Pluto. So Pluto is this deep, the is accessing the deep recesses of our soul in this full moon. It's bringing up, subconscious things to the surface level of our soul or our feelings and emotions. So this is really a transformative time going on in our world because we've got Saturn squaring the nodes. So Saturn represents governments and fear, anxiety, depression, and even death. And so we've got this squaring the future and the past. And oftentimes in our life, we go back and forth between the nodes based on our actions and behaviors. Oftentimes, it has to do with a traumatic wound or childhood experience that we've had in our lives. And we'll catch ourselves reverting back to an instinct or a reaction of how we behave, and we react based on that from our past. And so the north node is the future or where we want to be headed. So it's like learned experiences through life of the actual course of action we want to take to better ourselves. So do we react on this fear that's binding us, or do we retract and not move? So if the only way to really conquer our fear is to step into it and acknowledge it and not let it rule our lives. Saturn is our biggest obstacle in an astrology chart. And the only way to conquer this fear is for us to step into the fear and not allow it to take us over. What happens when we get taken over is we become non-active. We can't function. We withdraw or we hide. And so we can't let fear rule our lives. And this is a lot about what this full moon is having to do with, because we've got Uranus, the planet of enlightenment and cosmic consciousness. It's the higher thinking wisdom mind. And it's trying to enlighten us to the future that we want. And it's also enlightening us to, the past, what's going on with the past here, and what the governments are doing in controlling of this fear mechanism within us. Think of this as like a spiritual challenge for the entire planet going on right now, because Neptune is the planet of spirituality, and it's in its greatest strength, and it's in the keyword of vicissitudes, which is really about recapitulating and adjusting our lives to really live out a different form of a spiritual expression based on our beliefs and our ideals. And so we're seeing a lot of people moving and repositioning themselves in places where they want to live, jobs, and moving closer to family, and and also into work that is more fulfilling to them. So I want to move back onto this moon conjunct Jupiter for the full, or excuse me, moon conjunct Pluto for this full moon, because this is really tapping into this what's happening below the surface level of our subconscious mind. And it's also what's happening below the surface level of what's going on the planet today. As we know, we elect politicians and we've got these people that are supposed to be representing us. We also have all these big businesses that make billions of dollars, and they invest their dollars into what they want passed in governments around the world. So we've got these people working behind the scenes with our tax dollars or dollars that they've made from us buying their products and services to create this is in the keyword idealism. So this is about them creating an ideal society for us all to live in. And how do we feel about this going on? Do we agree with what we're finding out that they're doing behind the scenes to make this future that they see, that they want, this global structure that they're inventing for us to live in? And as we see here, we have trine going from the moon at this moment up to Uranus and the north node of the future. And then we have a sextile coming off of that to the sun and Mercury. And then we have a trine going from the sun and Mercury down to the south node. And then we have a sextile coming back to the moon. This is called a mystic trine or mystic rectangle, which is a very good aspect in astrology. At the same time, we've got this grand trine with almost a kite formed right here, just slightly off because of the degree of aspect here. But you can see that this is a very good aspect as well. So we've got all this positivity working in our favor because it's hitting the sun and the moon, and it's also hitting the nodes. So what does all of this mean? Well, if we look at what we're seeing on an external level and we're processing in an internal way, we have to think in this word of idealism, do we like the ideal society or the ideal world or the ideal work environment or home environment, which is out there for us? And if not, we have to work to change it. That's where we've got this Uranus in the keyword of struggle in a conjunction to the North Node in mastership. So mastership is wanting us to become a master of our own self or world. Now, the North Node will be moving shortly into the keyword of struggle, and then we'll be having Mars move up in here. I will make another video on that because that's going to be humongous, coming in midsummer, towards the end of July and beginning of August. We're going to see big stuff happening here with what's going to be going on. So I'll get to that in the next video. But we also have the sun in the keyword of research. So this is the solar energy of where we're wanting to spend our time and energy in an outward way looking at things. So we want to look at things through research of what is going on. So, we've got this in conjunction going to Saturn. So an in conjunction is a crisis in action. So we're going to be looking at what is the government doing, or what is causing this fear and panic and anxiety within myself. And this is happening from the sign of Cancer, which is all about home, family, and security and stability. It wants these things. And your home is your country, your town, your nation. Your home is this earth. In astrology, the earth is actually in the middle right here. So everything has to do with what's going on the earth. So we're having to, we're experiencing this negative aspect of Saturn to our sun, to who we are, to our spirit, the spirit of ourselves, the spirit of our country, the spirit of the world. And like I said, Saturn is squaring the past and the future of which direction we want to be headed. So you have to decide as an individual, and we as a society and a world have to decide, do we want to revert back to these wounds of Pluto that we've gone through in our life, and or do we want to revert to allowing fear and a challenge to knock us down and make us not move forward in life, to freeze us up? So, when you're in fear, you just stop. You just can't, you become like, you can't move, you're frozen. Saturn's the most cold planet, and he'll make you freeze in fear and fright and anxiety. So do we want to freeze up, or do we want to step up and step into the fear and take this on and move forward and not and learn from the pain and the good things in life that have brought us here by doing our research and using our mind? Mercury, our mind, is in the keyword of fidelity, which means loyalty to home, country, family at this particular moment. And it has to do, and it's trining, or it's in a sextile to Uranus and the North Node, using your higher wisdom mind to think higher thoughts of what you want for the future of your life and your community, society, and future generations. And then we have this research and this our minds wanting to be about loyalty, trining the past. So we have to look and research and look at our heritage and our past, about who we are as a person, from our ancestors, from the past of the people who have fought for their freedoms, liberties, and their countries, and what that means. So there's a lot of looking into the past as it relates to the future. We're researching this. We're finding all this out. And we're trying to figure out a way in which to move forward to something better than what is being presented to us in this moment on Earth. And it has to, and it also connects to our feelings and emotions about the ideal world we want to live in, according to our souls and our feelings and emotions about things, and to what we're learning about what's kind of dirty or corrupt, what's been going on below the surface for years and years that we didn't know. And so then we have Neptune, the planet of spirituality and idealism and the ultimate truth, and it does have to do with the news, but it has to do with confusion, illusion, and disillusionment as well, because it's so high of a frequency that it can cause us to not see things clearly. But here we have it trining. So even if it's trining, it can still cause like an ego denial to the sun. So we can still have this place where we're not fully understanding what the truth is, but we're better receptive to truth at this time. And it squares the south node of the past, like I said earlier, and then we have the south node trining the sun and Mercury once again. So the big challenge here is overcoming the fear and not really allowing our past wounds to block us or stop us from healing. And when we heal ourselves from our understanding, from our the research we're doing, from our mind wrapping itself around and encompassing how this affects what's going on affects me and all those around me. We can start to formulate a plan that moves us in the right direction. And that's what this uh, buck full moon is all about. It's interesting that it's also called the thunder moon because um, we're going to be moving into some thunder and lightning times that are going to be probably shocking when this Uranus and North Node and the Mars hit one another. There's gonna be a lot of sudden events triggered during that time. So I just want to leave everyone with a positive message. It's up to us. We just have to look at our past wounds and learn from them, heal them. And when we heal ourselves, in turn, we're healing the collective. We're healing. We can now go out and help our fellow man because we've done the work. We've gone through the experience and we've had the courage to go back and look at what we've done wrong or the mistakes we've made and not be held back into the fear, but we've stepped up, healed it, and now we can propel ourselves forward in a way of making the world a better place. So this full moon is a big full moon, and I hope it brings for a very good summer. So I hope you like this video. If you'd like to watch, or excuse me, if you'd like to read what I've written about this full moon, you can read it on my website in my blog at astrologywithjeffreybryan.com. So I hope you guys have a wonderful summer, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.